All right, good evening. This is the January 17, 2024 Cottage Grove City Council meeting, which I'm calling to order. Our first order of business is the Pledge of Allegiance, so if you'd please rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, will the clerk please do the roll?
Councilmember Kambata.
I'm here.
Councilmember Olson.
Here.
Councilmember Thiede.
Here.
Councilmember Garza. Mayor Bailey.
Here. Next on our agenda this evening is open forum. This is the opportunity for anyone that wants to speak on anything that's not on tonight's agenda is welcome to do so. Though we do have somebody that did sign up, and I'm going to have her come up and speak. We did have a sign-up sheet out there, so we'll start with her, and then if anybody did not get a chance to sign up, we'll see if there's anybody else who wants to. This item that I think you're talking about is on our consent, but we'll have you come up here and you can speak at this time. So Bonnie Matter, if you just come up and state your name and address. Thank you.
Good to see everybody. Nice crowd. Yay. Okay. Hi. I'm Bonnie Matter, 6649 Inskip Avenue South, Cottage Grove, Minnesota. And yes, I am here to talk about or to ask about consent agenda item J, and it's the South District Street and Utility Improvement, okay? There's 3 documents that are out there that are attached, and what I would like to request is that the feasibility study that was done for that project also be included with those documents so that the complete story is there. The feasibility report was South Street, for those who don't know, it's 105th Street that connects Hadley to Ideal, and also there's I call it the loop-de-loop because then it goes to 103rd Street. But there was a feasibility report that was done. It was done in March of 2022. It was presented at the March 16, 2022 meeting. It's very detailed, and in addition, it lists the cost. It's around $14.8 million, and it breaks down who's going to pay for what and exactly what's going to happen. And the reason I would like that out there, attached to those other documents and kept with it as part of the project plan, is that there's a lot of development and a lot of street planning and road planning that's going on out there, and it would be very nice to be able to access these things and review them as a complete packet. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate that. All right, is there anybody else, we didn't have anybody else sign up, but is there anybody else that missed signing up that wants to speak during open forum? All right, seeing none, I will go ahead and close open forum, and we'll move to number 5, which is adoption of the agenda.
Move the agenda. Second.
All right, we have a motion by Councilmember Olson, second by Councilmember Thiede. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next is presentations. We have the 2 this evening. The first one is kind of special. Not kind of special, is special. I know this guy from a long, long time, and I used to bug him with streetlights and such too, as he knows. He's like, I'm getting out of here. No. So this is the retirement from a public safety standpoint with the fire department of Kevin Zittel. And I think what I'll do is I'll first turn it over to our Director of Public Safety, Pete Kerner. That's going to start the process. And then council, if you would join me down in front of the council dais. And then Kevin, if you would like to come up.
Did I spell your last name right?
Yes. One of the few people who spelled it right.
Tammy checked it.
Check that beforehand. What's that? I said, we probably should have checked that beforehand. If you spelled your name right.
I always get.
All right.
Yeah. All right, well, Honorable Mayor, Council, thank you for giving us this opportunity. I'll start with, in the last couple of years, the Fire Department Roundtable came up with a really good comprehensive plan on how we recognize employees. They put a lot of effort into, so if you've been here 5 years, you get part of your equipment. 10 years, you get your helmet and different things. But we don't really have stuff for the 30-year people. So Kevin has already had a retirement party, which was well attended, a nice evening. In April, we're going to do a fire awards where, again, we'll recognize a lot of the employees, but the mayor and council actually came to me and said, we have to do something for a 30-year employee. It just doesn't happen. Kevin is the fourth that's hit that number as a part-timer, which is an incredible number, because he worked with Public Works. And so I just wanted to say a few things, and I did pull a rank with Fire Chief Pritchard, and I said, I've known Kevin since, middle school. We played sports together. We both thought we were going to the NBA, and I stopped growing much quicker than Kevin, but I'll quit babbling. Kevin started with us October of 1993. When you talk about the original OG, when the newer firefighters talk about different, like, remember we used to do that, or they did that, Kevin did all that. Back in the day, we didn't have all the safety things we do now, but Kevin's been a part of a lot of the changes with the response model, equipment. We always tease Kevin. I know when he was the safety officer and he had the blue helmet for a little while, we gave a hard time, but Kevin was always passionate, whether it was on the fire department for safety. He did a lot too with the city safety committee too. So he was kind of ahead of the game. All the words we talk about now is, the community risk reduction, different prevention, injury. Kevin was doing that 25 years ago, 30 years ago. So I did list just a couple of things, and I know I missed a lot of the highlights, Kevin. But he did a lot with safety, water rescue, dive team. Kevin was, how many years did you do safety camp? So he represented, he did that many years. The Youth Fire Prevention Program with the Youth Service Bureau, that's the guy that got it going way back in the day. Involved in the car seat safety, does a lot with EMT services. He was always a fixture at the field house doing different CPR or EMT events. Had leadership roles as both lieutenant and captain. And you probably don't recognize him without his hat on, but when I really looked at some of the highlights, Kevin did the CPR, and thousands of people have come through the program, and he did it back as a part-time, scheduled them. Countless businesses, so he did CPR training for my daughter and son, and they loved it. So you've had an incredible career. 30 years is remarkable. You deserve to be standing up there with the mayor and council to thank you. So I'll turn it over to the mayor. So.
All right, so before I read do you want to hold it a minute? Before I read the plaque, one of the things I do want to say, other than thanking you, obviously, for the many, many years of service, it's impressive to say the least. But to the family, it takes, yep, there we go, I see them all back there. And I know we have a lot of your partners in the room here too, a lot of the firefighters that have been with you over the years. And the amount of hours that you guys put in for training and for issues that happen no matter what hour of the day it is, and then the families that have to interrupt events and birthdays and all that. The city could not function literally without individuals like yourselves on the firefighters, but also the family members. So as much as I'm sad to see you go in this particular case, I'm actually excited for you for your future, and obviously more quality time maybe spent with the family. And so I just wanted to say once again, thank you. So I'm going to read what we have on the plaque here. So first of all, it says Kevin Zittel, Captain, Lieutenant, Firefighter, City of Cottage Grove, Department of Public Safety, Fire and Emergency Medical Services Division, served 1993 through 2023. In recognition of your 30 years of dedicated service to the Cottage Grove Public Safety Department and the citizens in which we serve, Kevin Zittel has been instrumental in providing the highest quality-based fire and EMS services. Kevin has been a part of a significant change, and he has had a direct impact on the excellent reputation, commitment to safety, and high standards of the department. The professionalism and integrity of the department is a direct result of Kevin's commitment to the community and mission of the organization. Kevin Zittel's service to the department and citizens is greatly appreciated. Thank you. For me, it says the Cottage Grove City Council, but I want to thank you from all the citizens of Cottage Grove. Thank you. There you go.
I didn't really prepare a speech, but I just want to thank the city administrator, council, all the leadership team. I know Director Kerner and I have been through a lot together, and it just so happens I had a couple days as Chief Pritchard as the new chief, so he would have been my 6th fire chief in 30 years. That was why I retired, is I told him I couldn't break in a new chief. But in all honesty, thank you guys. They told me I was going to stand up here, and I'm like, for what? But I appreciate you, my brothers and sisters in the back that have new firefighters or been with me for a long time. Thank you for my family. Thank you for keeping me safe. I appreciate it. My wife and my girls, I love you guys, and to my parents who raised me to be what I am. So thank you.
So,
I think we want to do one quick picture.
yeah, and actually, Kevin, we have something, your final call.
Yes.
So I want you to come over here. You're gonna get to hail dispatch one last time, so please come over here and,
You want to hold
yeah. So,
They told me I couldn't cry.
yeah. And then just hail him, that's your, and then just say it's Lieutenant Zittel, dispatch or whatever, and they'll be waiting for you.
Cottage Grove Lieutenant Zittel. Dispatch. Am I on the right channel?
Lieutenant Zittel on dispatch. Cottage Grove Bob.
Copy, go ahead.
In recognition of your 30 years of dedicated service to the Cottage Grove Public Safety Department and the citizens in which we serve, Kevin has been a part of significant change, and he has had a direct impact on the excellent reputation, commitment to safety, and high standards of the department. The professionalism and integrity of the department is a direct result of Kevin's commitment to the community and mission of the organization. Thank you, Kevin, for your dedication and service to the Cottage Grove Fire Department and our community. Thank you for your years of dedicated service, Lieutenant Kevin Zittel, 10-7 at 1912.
Dispatch, thank you for all the years of service. And again, to all the brothers and sisters out there in the Washington County, thank you for all the help and recognition. 10-7.
Can we get all the firefighters to come join us up here? Let's have you join. Absolutely. Absolutely. I was going to invite your family. Family too? Yep. Let's get the family up here.
Mom and Dad. Well, she's short, so sister. Oh, yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, come over here, Chris, I don't think.
You don't need to go up around.
Actually, Mike, you guys gotta come up too, because we work with you too.
Yeah.
Come on. Everyone get out the door open. That's a public works job anyways.
We'll get there.
Yeah.
We need to beat up our Come on. All your friends are doing it.
Actually, want to
I'll go
see
to the back, yes.
you play basketball.
I want to see the two of them in a pickup game.
Yeah, exactly.
He's got this.
Absolutely.
Everybody can see me? All right, 1, 2, 3.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, make 10 more years. Wait, no.
You already hit it.
Congratulations.
All right. That's always amazing. The 30 years of service in our community. Pretty awesome. Next on under presentations is what's called the Capture Cottage Grove Photo Contest winners. And Jamie Mann, who is the interim communications manager and assistant city administrator, is going to walk us through this. And then towards the end, I'll again have council join me down in front for a presentation of an individual that's here this evening.
That's correct. Thank you, Mayor,
Thank you.
members of council. So we all know Cottage Grove is a beautiful place to live and is full of talented, creative people. So for at least a decade, probably more, the city has run a Capture Cottage Grove photo contest where we ask residents to capture images within the city limits of Cottage Grove and submit them for judging, and I guess to be crowned kind of our winner, depending on the categories each year, they change. So this year we had 4 categories that we had people submit photos to. They were life in Cottage Grove, business in Cottage Grove parks and landmarks, and Cottage Grove celebrations or events. So we ran the program for about 3 weeks. People were able to submit photos. They submitted photos with their name and a caption for the photo. So they were able to name their photos. After the submission time closed, we have our city staff vote on all of the different categories, and our city staff picks the winner of the contest. So in these couple slides, you can see some of the non-winning submissions that were submitted to the contest. In total, we had 78 photos submitted between the 4 categories. And it was a blind vote for city staff. So no names were on the survey that was sent out to staff. It was just the photo along with the caption that the photographer named it. So we have one winner here tonight. So I'm going to go through the 2 that are not here first. So for the Cottage Grove celebrations or events, Gwen Martin won with her photo here. It's called Cooling Off with Sparky. For the second winner is for Life in Cottage Grove. A resident named Michelle Wind won with this photo titled On Cloud 9. And we have one photographer that won for 2 categories, so I'm going to go through those and then we'll call up the winner of the 2 categories. So for Cottage Grove Parks and Landmarks, it's Isaac Pavick for Fall Bliss on the photo you see in front of you. And then for Business in Cottage Grove, again, Isaac Pavick was the winner for this photo of Tank's Family Farm. So we have Isaac here in the audience. If he would like to come up, we have something for you.
All right, come on up, council. I will say this, well, obviously we know Isaac, so congratulations right off the bat. I see you around town all the time at all the events taking pictures, so the fact that he won 2 of these categories makes perfect sense with the amount of pictures that I see that you do. So as you heard, these pictures just for the public, other than being selected by our staff with all the different individuals that put pictures in, these pictures will also tell a story of our community. And so in publications and things that we're going to be doing over the next year, I will be utilizing your pictures to show what are some of the exciting things and the love of our community here in Cottage Grove. So as was mentioned by Jamie earlier, the first category was Cottage Grove Parks and Landmarks. And I guess I'll ask Isaac, I think I know where this is, but you want to share where this picture is?
That's at Ravine Parkway.
That's what I thought. So it's at Ravine Parkway. So I'm going to hand that one to you. And then everybody's favorite place to get corn. The Business in Cottage Grove, which was the Tank's Family Farm, not too far from here. And that was obviously during the winter here. So that was October with the white snow. Oh my goodness. So with that, I will just say on behalf of all of our staff and everybody at in the city of Cottage Grove, congratulations on winning these 2 categories of the Capture the Cottage Grove photo contest. And there's a little check here for you too, which I think you'll like.
Isaac, do you need a bigger house for all the awards that you've won over the years?
We'll get there.
Okay, we got checks here. Yeah.
We'll keep the checks on Advice Film. So next on our agenda this evening is consent. First of all, Counselor, is there anything you want to pull off of consent for separate discussion? All right, seeing none at this point, I'll look
I
for,
will move consent.
okay, so we have a motion by Councilmember Thiede to approve consent. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Councilmember Kambata. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion carries. So if you are here for anything that was on tonight's consent agenda, all of those items have been approved. Next on our agenda is 8 is approved disbursement. 8A is to pay the bills.
Move the bills.
All right, we have a motion by Councilmember Olson. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Councilmember Kambata. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next is 9 public hearings. We do have one this evening, and it's, I'll say it's a longer one. So we have a couple things we'll be doing differently with this one for the council. But the public first item is Roers Company, Cottage Grove Multifamily Development. And Mike Marosla is going to first start us through this for the first part. So Mike, welcome.
Evening, Mayor and Council. All right. Roers Company has submitted an application for site plan review, plan unit development, preliminary and final plat. Subject site is located at 6850 East Point Douglas Road. Site consists of 3 outlots, 2 lots of record. We're going to start on the left side of the screen and kind of work our way to the right. Shown in blue on the screen, outlots C and D are 2 existing stormwater ponds on site that were constructed for development of this parcel. The next up is the pipeline easement that is owned by Flint Hills Resources. There's 2 crude oil pipelines that pass through there. The applicant is actively working with them as that is, they have a lot of standards on that pipeline, what can be constructed in there. Then we have 2 lots of records, lot 4 and 3, backwards there. And then outlot A, which is, was an outlot deeded to the city as non-developable back in 2007 when the Fratalo and South Point Ridge development was approved. Outlot A did not receive any kind of park dedication. It was just deeded to the city as a non-developable outlot. And then there's also a trail easement along the east side of the property too that provides access up to Camel's Hump Park. As part of the application in front of us tonight, the applicant is proposing to acquire outlots A, C, and D. The subject site is guided in the land use plan as mixed use and is zoned mixed use as well. However, this wasn't always the case. The property was previously zoned B1 of a PDO. However, last year, as part of our citywide rezoning, we rezoned the property to mixed use to be in conformance with the 2040 comprehensive plan. The proposed preliminary plat in front of us tonight consists of 1 lot of record with multiple easements going from left to right again. There's a large drainage utility easement on the left side of the property, and then there's the pipeline easement. It's not going anywhere. And then there's the gray area shown on the screen here. That is the development area, which we'll get into shortly. There's a trail easement, and then there's, as part of the sale to the applicant of outlot A, we are requesting a deed restriction be placed on that area in the northeast corner to preserve the trees and the trail corridor in that area. So the long term, those trees in that area will stay there as part of this application. And then we will be able to go in there and maintain the trail, natural trail corridor that leads up to Camel's Hump Park. Proposal is a 144 unit mixed income apartment building. The proposed density is 37 units per acre with a maximum of 40 units, which is the maximum permitted in the mixed use district. The applicant is sitting inside 29 units at 50% AMI, area median income. Just for comparisons, 50% AMI in Washington County is an annual salary of $43,500 for a single person, or a family of 4, $62,100. And then the applicant's also setting aside 8 units at 60% median income. Again, that's at $52,200 for an individual, or $74,940 for a family of 4. All the rents are set by HUD, so the minimum rental price for a 50% AMI is $1,087, and for a 60% AMI is at $1,398. The remainder of the units, about the 107 remainder units are going to be set at market rate or below. The applicant has indicated that they are proposing to have rents slightly below what the existing multifamily complexes in the community are. So that'll be allow for incomes of 70 to 100% AMI to potentially live in the proposed project. Some of the amenities that will be included in the project interior are a game room, community room, and a fitness room. The proposed building, as you see on the right side of the screen here, is shaped as like a U. That was done on purpose to keep the amenities away from the existing uses on East Point Douglas Road. So the active area will be included in the courtyard area. The courtyard area will have a lot of amenities as well. There's gonna be a fire pit, patio and dining area, recreational lawn, playground, tot lot, dog wash, and dog run. As part of this application, the applicant is requesting plan unit development for some flexibility due to the site constraints that we previously discussed. However, in exchange for the PUD, we'd like to see some of the city's comprehensive plan goals met. This application in front of us tonight is meeting a lot of those goals for affordable housing and providing additional housing options in the side of the community. So the applicant is requesting flexibility for building height, architectural materials, parking ratio, and landscape flexibility. Otherwise, the proposal is consistent with the zoning code. As you see on this side, on the table on the screen here, it's consistent of everything on there except for building height. So we'll get into that here shortly. The proposed parking, city code requires 230 stalls or 1.6 stalls per unit. Applicant is proposing 216 stalls per unit or 1.5, or 216 stalls total and 1.5 stalls per unit. There's 82 surface parking stalls, 134 garage parking stalls. The garage is in 2 levels. The first level is below grade and is accessed off the drive off of East Point Douglas Road. The second one is accessed internally through the parking lot. That will be like the main level of the building, as you can see in the images on the left-hand side. There's an internal pedestrian system that connects to the existing sidewalk on East Point Douglas Road. As part of the project, the applicant is proposing to put in a 6-foot wide sidewalk along the eastern side of the property that will connect to the proposed natural trail, actually relocation of the existing natural trail on the northeastern section of the property as shown on green on the map. And you also can see in this image on the screen too where those trees are being preserved as part of that deed restriction. The proposed architecture, multifamily buildings are required to have 65% Class 1 material. Class 1 materials include glass, stone, and brick. Applicant is proposing to use 47% and includes glass and stone. That 47% is pretty common. We've seen it on the developments on Hardwood Avenue, the Arilla, for example, and the Views, and recently approved Trellis. All those are at about 47% Class 1 materials. Earlier this year, or last year now, the council did have a meeting with the applicant to talk about the proposal. And at that meeting, the council made the comment or wished to make this building as a gateway feature into the community. This piece is highly visible from Highway 61 as you come into the community. The applicant heard that concern and did modify the building to include a lot more stone columns to kind of make it pop as you drive into the community, to create that gateway feature and kind of set the architectural tone for the community. Again, the proposal is 47% Class 1 materials. There's Class 2 and 3 materials as well. 14% of the building is specialty block, and then 39% is fiber cement. Again, the applicant is asking for some flexibility in building height. This building will be built into the hillside there, kind of similar to Legends of Cottage Grove. The overall height on the 61 side of the building is 67 feet. However, if you go to the side not adjacent to 61, that side is at the 55 feet. So that 67 feet is comparable to the height of the Legends building that's existing on East Point Douglas. That height on the 61 side is 73 feet from grade to peak of the roof. So this building is similar in height to Legends. Landscaping, the applicant is asking for some flexibility due to the site constraints, stormwater requirements. So applicant's proposing to plant 53 trees, where ordinance requires 85. However, the applicant is looking to plant additional trees on site to get that number higher. They are planting significantly more shrubs. Ordinance requires 94, the applicant is planting 408. The majority of those shrubs are around the perimeter of the parking lot and in the parking lot islands and on the base of the building as required by city code. No tree mitigation is required. The two images on the bottom of the screen here show the site when it was prepared back in 2008 and then in 2003. A lot of trees that the applicant is removing, or proposed to remove, I should say, are volunteer trees that have grown since the site has been cleared. Again, they do not trigger, the removal does not trigger tree mitigation. And you can see too, on the 2003, that wooded area that will be preserved as well. All right, I'm gonna put my traffic hat on here. So as part of all the development on Hardwood Avenue, the city hired Bolton Minted to complete a traffic study. In recent years, we've seen the developments of the Arilla Apartments, the Views, Pizza Ranch. And so to ensure that Hardwood Avenue can handle additional trips, a traffic study was completed. Once we received this application, we asked Bolton Mink to amend the traffic study to include this proposal. The applicant also completed a traffic study just to make sure that East Point Douglas Road and Hardwood Avenue can handle additional trips. Both studies came out and said that they are designed appropriately to handle additional trips. Design capacity of East Point Douglas Road is approximately 2,000 to 5,000 trips per day. With the proposed addition of the proposal in front of us tonight, that would bring the total trips up to 1,750. And also, our Public Works Director, Ryan Burfine's here. If you have any additional questions on that, he's happy to talk more about that, if you wish. Public process, the applicant did hold a neighborhood meeting on November 14th, 2023 at the Legends of Cottage Grove. 33 residents were in attendance. General questions raised were about why did the applicant select this site, construction timing, anticipated rents, traffic noise from Highway 61, and the noise from the potential increase in traffic on East Point Douglas. However, the main talking point was the increased traffic on East Point Douglas Road. However, as we previously mentioned, the traffic studies said the roads are designed to accommodate that. Notices did go out for a public hearing in the Pioneer Press and were mailed out to property owners within 500 feet. Staff did not receive any comments during that time. Also, no residents or no one did participate in the public hearing at the Planning Commission on December 18th. At that meeting, the Planning Commission reviewed this and held the public hearing, and they voted unanimously to approve the project before you tonight. This project does include request for financial assistance. With that, I'm going to turn it to our Economic Development Director, Gretchen Larson.
Thank you, Mike. Good evening, Mayor and Council. As a part of this process, all the required public hearing notices that are required by law have been completed. Tonight is the opportunity for the City Council to hold a public hearing for the modification to the development program for your Development District Number 1 to establish a tax increment district number 1-21, which would be Roers, a housing district. As a part of the process in October, the city received a request for public financial assistance from the developer. The council received information on the project from the developer also in October. As a part of that discussion, they said what they wanted to construct, which Mike has already presented tonight, about a mixed-income multifamily apartment project with 20% of the units at AMI, which is the area median income. But then based upon the desire of the city council to have even more affordability into the project, Roers went back to the drawing board and included 8 more units at 60% and some more naturally occurring affordable units at 70 and 80% of the AMI. The city's financial consultants then conducted a second analysis, and they concluded that with the additional affordability, that assistance for up to 15 years and $1.96 million in today's value was warranted. On January 9, your Economic Development Authority approved the project plan and the proposed modification to Development District Number 1 to establish Development District Number 1-21, which is Roers. And to complete the process, again, we have to hold a public hearing. There's also a development contract in your packet, and that development agreement is required, and it's an agreement between the EDA and the developer, and it defines all the requirements for the actual project itself and everything that the developer has to meet in order to receive public assistance. And it also includes a look-back provision to make sure that because projects of this size have some adjustments to them over time when they get off the ground. So that has been done also by your financial advisors. And while the city is not a party to the actual development agreement, your EDA bylaws and enabling resolutions make you approve or require you to approve all of the projects undertaken by the EDA. There's a recommendation slide before you, and staff would like to note that the first 3 recommendations should be taken first, considered by you in each individual motion before you hold the public hearing. And we'll be happy to answer any questions. And then the other 2, after the public hearing is closed, 5 and 6, you can consider those items as well.
All right, sounds good. Thank you, G. First of all, council, any questions either for Mike or G? Councilmember Olson.
Thank you both for presenting this to us. I happened to see the presentation at the EDA last week as well, and I'm going to ask that our friends from Ehlers answer this question for me, because they've answered it once before, but I think it's good information for the public to have. And that has to do with the look-back provisions that are included within the TIF financing agreement and why those exist, and how they safeguard or protect the EDA and/or city in circumstances like this. They're not uncommon. Look-back provisions are often there, but it's one of those things that we don't talk about very often. And I think it's worth articulating to the public watching at home, or who may be watching this on tape delay at some point, what those look-back provisions are and why they're there. So if you wouldn't mind just kind of repeating what I asked you to talk about last week, I'd sure appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor, council members, and Councilmember Olson. Yeah, so a quick review of the look-back provisions in this project, which are typical for projects like this. And in this project, there are 3 different types of look-backs, which again are kind of the standard that we at Ehlers recommend cities do. The first one is a look-back when the project's completed. So you all are considering dedicating money to the project tonight, just under $2 million. And it's based on an analysis that the project is gonna cost a certain amount of money. And if for some reason the costs go down for the project and the developer builds it a lot cheaper than they had anticipated and that they shared with us and you all, then the subsidy that was analyzed to be needed now maybe wasn't needed. And so there would be a cost adjustment during the certificate of occupancy, so when the project is done and getting ready to be occupied. That's the first look back. The second look back is a performance look back. It's look back at stabilization of the project, so roughly a year or so after the project has opened and they've got all their leases in, they're 90 or 95% occupied. We know what the rents for the project are going to be. Again, the analysis and the level of subsidy was set based on the best information that we have today, and we know a lot about what the market is right now, but in 2 years when the project's open and leased up, maybe rents are doing really well, right? That means maybe there was too much subsidy in the project, and so we do an analysis at that point and then adjust that TIF subsidy down if that's the case. If rents are exactly what we performed today or what the developer performed today, there's no adjustment. And if they're lower, the project isn't doing as well as we performed, we also don't adjust it then. So what developers always say is, well, we should adjust it higher at that point. We don't do that. Nothing against developers. All developers, not all of them, but some of them make that point. I'm being a little bit flip. But again, and then that's the second look back. And the third one is similar to the performance look back. It's a look back in the event of sale. So they sell the project, there's an actual sale. We go back and adjust the TIF note at that point if the project is performing a lot better than it was originally anticipated to do. I'll say that generally look-backs don't result in an adjustment because projects generally cost more than what we're looking at today, and rents are usually within a range that we're analyzing right now. And so it's relatively rare that there are adjustments, but they do happen, and they're a great safeguard to make sure that the TIF assistance is right-sized.
And, you know, really, I think that's the key point, and I appreciate you stepping up to the podium again and sharing that, because it's important for the public to understand that, you know, when we work with developers as a city council or as a community, many times we utilize tools like TIF in order to get projects off the ground, and then we recapture that tax increment or that revenue later on after the project is up and running. But ensuring that we right-size the TIF is hard to do because market conditions change all the time. And I think we can all agree that, you know, we've seen interest rates go up lately over the last year and a half or so, and now there's some predictions out there that those will start to drop. So these look-back provisions give us a safeguard against that, and I just think that's smart business. But I also think it's something that very few people know that we do. So I wanted to have you share that with us again, and very much appreciate your time. Thank you.
Me too, thanks.
All right, thank you. Council, any other questions for staff at this point or Ellers? Would the applicant like to come up and share anything additional at this point, or you're welcome to do so? I know we've seen over the months.
Yeah. Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Travis Fouchold with Roers Companies, and Mike, Gretchen, Shane, thank you for a great presentation. Over the last couple of months, we've been working, you know, to get this project and its design to a spot that, you know, we could present for approval. And you know, if approved, we would continue working with the gas pipeline companies, Mike mentioned, to make sure all the formal written approvals are there to make sure we're building a project that works for them as well, as they, you know, have an easement that governs a majority of the site. We would continue working on our architecture and civil plans to, you know, resubmit for permits, and then we would, you know, begin financing the project and preparing to start construction later this summer. But yeah, we're really excited to be here, really excited for the opportunity to, you know, be a partner and invest in the community. And, you know, our engineers and our architects are here as well if there's any questions on the, you know, design, or if any of the nitty-gritty details that I might not be able to answer. But if there's any questions, myself, Logan, and Peter and are all here.
All right, Councilmember Kambata.
Just want to thank you again for taking the time to be here tonight. For anyone who might be watching at home or who's in attendance who isn't familiar with the term AMI, or Area Median Income, can you briefly explain how you guys determine those levels and how they're regulated, and moving forward, how those rents stay affordable?
Yeah, so as a large multifamily developer that does a lot of work in the Twin Cities, we do, you know, some market rate communities, workforce communities, and a lot of our work are, you know, affordable communities that are rent and income restricted. And so, as Mike mentioned, those rent and income restrictions are laid out in a declaration of land use restricted covenants. So it's a document that'll run with the land, that'll govern, you know, the use and the income and rent restrictions. So what that means is ultimately only a certain amount of, or certain people are able to live in these units with discounted rents. And what our property management and our compliance departments do is make sure we're renting to the right residents, that they aren't getting cheap rent, and that they, you know, are making what they say they make, to make sure, you know, the TIF is being used to serve the right people. And so ultimately, the rents and income restrictions are published by HUD depending on the area median income of the county, and those are revisited each year. So if rents go up in Washington County, you know, the rents and the incomes would go up by the, you know, the corresponding amount, and if rents were to go down, you know, I think the rent and income restrictions would move or stay the same. So we're not able to, you know, say we're going to provide affordable housing and provide, you know, X amount of units at X income restriction and then change those later down the road. So it is a math equation that, you know, ultimately determines what those rents are and who can live there. So on this unit, you know, or on this project, we have, you know, rent and income restrictions on 1, 2, and 3 bedrooms. And so what we anticipate in the tenants and residents we anticipate are going to be, you know, service workers, teachers, people living on a fixed income, single parents. Those are our residents that we see on these projects. So I'm hopeful that answers your question.
Very good. Absolutely, thank you.
Awesome. Any other questions, council? I guess the only comment I'll mention before we'll move forward, if there's no other questions, is, first of all, thank you for coming in again, obviously, tonight, and listening to the council when we had our session a while ago about wanting to spruce up the building a bit, just from a visual standpoint. The way you're going to build it, that is a very unique parcel. I mean, we have seen other developers try to come in and figure out how they're going to make it all work, and never got to the level where you're now standing before us saying, hey, we've got a project we believe is gonna move forward, and I think it'll be a great use of that property. I think it's gonna be pretty amazing that whether you wanna walk down East Point Douglas around to the different retail options and such, or go up the hill, I guess, to Camel's Hump Park, you got kind of a unique piece of property there that I think is gonna be a gem for those that wanna live in Cottage Grove right in that particular area. So I just want to mention that. From a staff quick comment standpoint, as we know, one of the big things that we heard from residents at the Legends and such wasn't so much, I think, the project that's coming in, as they were concerned about traffic, which we all know that that's the case. I guess what I would like to just ask our staff to, before we move forward, just from a general sense. So let's say their project comes in, everything's great, we obviously expect it to, and let's say the traffic becomes a bit of an issue, whether it's speed, which obviously speed is happening everywhere right now. I don't know if this is something for Mike or our administrator or Ryan. I just was curious, what would be the steps that we could take if we were to start getting some concerned citizens down there about, hey, it's been tough for me to cross the road, or hey, cars are speeding. And I know what some of the answers are, but it would be good for the public to hear what some of those answers are. Thank you, Ryan, for coming up.
Mayor and council. So, yeah, as we had talked about earlier on, that does continue to be monitored in that area, and thinking about, Hardwood Avenue and then Hardwood Court with that intersection there. That one specifically, we are working on the signal plans for that project, so that's definitely something that's in motion. It's always hard along that entire corridor. We do want to meet warrants for any type of signal improvement, right? That's very important, and we monitor that very closely. So we do look at all those intersections along that area, including East Point Douglas Road and Harkness Avenue as well. But Hardwood Court and Hardwood Avenue is our next kind of focus for this area. And like I said, the signal's being worked on. And then we really are looking at how is the development going to happen. We don't quite meet warrants now, but there are other challenges in this corridor with sightline issues, of course, right? You kind of have the curves going up and over the hills. So that kind of plays into it, where we could actually look at building that signal, taking that into consideration, not just the traffic, but the sightlines as well.
Okay. And I guess the other thing is, as if that day were to come and people have concerns, they can obviously reach out, frankly, to one of us here at the council, public safety, city staff. And we always, if there is challenges or issues at some point, if there were to be, we always go back and take a look at it and add features or things to maybe slow traffic down or increase patrols or whatever needs to happen there. So I just know that with all the senior facilities in that market there, they love to walk. Every time I go down there, they're always walking along the bluff there, if you will, of Camel's Hump. So it's just, I think there's maybe a perception that it's going to be, maybe it won't be nothing, and hopefully it won't be nothing. But if it is, there's a way to react to it.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. All right, council, any other questions? Yeah, Councilmember Kambata.
I just have a general comment regarding the project. As I had said at Roers' initial presentation back in October, getting to 60% AMI is a tough task. And, I think especially with this parcel and the unique constraints that it presented, I think they came to us with a really well thought out, and, they'd kind of tackled all of the practical difficulties that the property presented with in their first shot. I think they've only improved upon it. So for my 20%, I'm really in favor of this project.
Okay. All right, so council, what we have before us, as you heard earlier, there are three recommendations before we open a public hearing for comments, because the public hearing obviously is relative to the tax increment financing. So who wants to make the first motion?
I'll go ahead first. I would move that we adopt Resolution 2024-005, approving the purchase agreement for outlots A, C, and D to Roers Cottage Grove Apartments LLC.
All right, so I have a motion by Councilmember Thiede. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Olson. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Who would like number 2? Mr. Kabata.
I would move to adopt Resolution 2024-006, approving the preliminary plat and final plat for Camel's Hump Edition.
All right, so I have a motion by Councilmember Kabata. Now do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Thiede. Any discussions on this one? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. And then the final, number 3?
Mayor, I'll move Resolution 2024-007, approving the planned unit development and site plan review for a 144-unit, 6-story mixed-income, multifamily apartment building located at 6850 East Point Douglas Road South.
All right, so I have a motion by Councilmember Olson. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Councilmember Kabata. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. So at this time, I'm going to go ahead and open the public hearing. This is the opportunity for anybody that wants to speak on the modification to the development program for Development District Number 1 to include the establishment of Tax Increment Financing District Number 1-21, which is Roers. Is there anybody in the audience that would like to speak? All right, just head on up and...
Oh, Bonnie Matter, 6649 Inskip Avenue South, Cottage Grove. Thank you very much, Mayor and council members. I had not planned to speak on this, but since given the opportunity, I can ask questions. So I do have, my concerns are the traffic. And it's more about coming, the Pizza Ranch and Kohl's and what I don't understand is there more than one way to get out of that place? Is there only one road?
Where this is going, yes. There
One
is only
road.
one road.
Okay, so is that okay? I thought you had to have 2 ways to get out.
I guess what I'll do is I'll pose, I don't know if that's for Ryan or if that's for Pete, if you want to talk. I think what you're referring to is the reason we've added a second road over in the,
Right,
over
yeah,
in the industrial
right,
park?
and in
Yep,
other areas,
Good question.
yeah, yeah.
Good question. We'll do that for you,
question,
okay.
Okay, and second question is, on the 1.9 million, is that bonded? I mean, are you gonna bond for that now?
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Those are the 2.
Those are the 2. Yep.
Ryan, do you want to take the first, and then G, do you want to take the second, or Ellers?
Mayor and Council, that is, that's correct, that we do, look for 2 points of access. It is specific to really emergency vehicle access. We do want that for all users. Obviously, in this area, it's very challenged. It's got the bluff and the highway. For emergency vehicle access, there is actually a second way to get through, actually off the ramp, and there's actually like a gate in the fence, the Highway 61 fence. So if you had an issue with the road itself, let's say down by Tudor Time, there's actually a different way to get vehicles in and out of that area through that access. I think that was put in back in 2007, I believe, with the original development.
Okay, and I do, and maybe just, I know, because it's a good question, Bonnie, because I also know, like, for example, up by Hinton Heights, I know there's a gate on the backside of Hinton Heights with only one place going in and out, and the purpose of that gate, they didn't want traffic to go through there.
Yep.
But we have the gate there in case public safety needs to get, so this is kind of the same situation, only the gate is, in this case, is along, in essence, along Highway 61?
That's correct, yep.
Okay.
The ramp.
The ramp.
The ramp,
yeah.
the ramp specifically,
Yep.
yep.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
And Mayor and Council, we'll have Shane from Ellers answer the
Perfect.
question about the TIF.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor, council members. The short answer is no, the city is not bonding, nor is the EDA bonding for those funds. It's called a pay-as-you-go note, meaning the property owner pays the property taxes, and the portion that is TIF is then dedicated to the project, but only if that money is there. So there's no financial risk to the city because of the arrangement. They're not bonding, they're not borrowing for it. Hope that answers the question.
Yep, thank you. All right, was there anybody else that wants to speak on this item? All right, seeing none, I will then go ahead and close the public hearing, and I believe there's 2 additional motions that are before us.
Yes, I will move that we adopt Resolution 2024-013, approving a modification to the development program for Development District Number 1 and adopting a tax increment financing plan for Tax Increment Financing District Number 1-21, parentheses, Roers.
There we go. All right, so we have a motion by Councilmember Thiede. Did I hear Councilmember Olson? Okay. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. And number 6, the final one?
I move to authorize the contract for private development by and between the Cottage Grove Economic Development Authority and Roers Cottage Grove Apartments LLC.
All right.
Second.
So I have a motion by Councilmember Kabata, second by Councilmember Thiede. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Good luck with your project. Looking forward to seeing it come out of the ground. Thank you. All right. Thank you, staff, for presenting this evening. 10 is bid awards. There are none this evening. 11 is regular agenda. There's nothing on our regular agenda this evening. 12 is council comments and requests. I'll start with Councilmember Kabata.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll keep it short. I want to thank our Public Works for getting out in the bitter cold and doing what little snow removal they had to do. After last year, I hope we can keep it light, figuratively and literally. Less snow, the better.
And that was it for you?
That's all I
All
got.
right. Thank you for Public Works. Did you catch that? Okay. All right. Councilmember Olson?
Thank you, Mayor. You know, I read a report this week that I found very interesting, and it had to do with the reason behind developers working more closely with communities like ours on kind of family-oriented apartments, whether that's market rate or AMI, just like the one that we talked about. And the report was written by an analyst at Citibank. Of course, Citibank's one of the largest banks in the world. They do a lot of financing for these projects. And what the report essentially told us is that if you look at 1991 to 2023, the price of owning a home, a single-family home, has gone up about 80% in that timeline, whereas the price of apartment rental has gone up about 40%. So there's quite a gap between renting and owning. And I know that it's not that simple. There's a lot of other benefits to home ownership, so on and so forth, from a tax write-off perspective. But it helped to explain a little bit for people who've been asking the question, you know, why is the city of Cottage Grove becoming such an attractive place for developers who are looking to put more density and or apartments as part of their developments? Frankly, it boils down to what is the market going to bear and what does the end user have the ability to afford. So I think this project with Roers is just a small example of what we've been doing over the last several years with regard to trying to respond to varying market conditions to make sure that we have life cycle housing for the people who want to live in our community. And I'm very grateful for staff and for all the various developers that staff's been working with that, you know, they've been bringing those kinds of projects our way because it definitely is necessary from an affordability perspective. The second thing I wanted to mention, Mayor, is, you know, tonight we had the honor of showing our appreciation to a 30-year veteran of the Cottage Grove Fire Department in Kevin Zittel. And in February, our second meeting, I will be presenting a check from my wife and myself to the Public Safety Board, Cottage Grove Public Safety Board, as part of our annual donation to the Craig Woolery Scholarship Fund. Last night, our Cottage Grove Lions Club was kind enough to make a $2,000 donation to the Craig Woolery Scholarship Fund. They donated $1,500 last year, so they kicked it up a notch. And of course, every little bit helps, very much appreciated. That check is in the hands of our Public Safety Director as I speak. But if there are people out there who are interested in learning more about the Craig Woolery Scholarship for first responders, why it exists, how you apply, so on and so forth. I would suggest that you reach out to any of the Public Safety Board members, particularly President Julie Rice. You could also reach out to our Public Safety Director. You could reach out to me or the mayor or city staff. But there's an opportunity here to really support our public safety folks in a way that they need, which is to help them pay for their education so that we can get the next Kevin Zittel or maybe more on our fire department or our police department. We definitely have to have great public safety personnel in our community serving our residents every day, and losing somebody like Kevin's a big loss. 30 years of experience, knowledge, et cetera, that he could pass on down to other firefighters, other EMTs, other medics. That's a lot to lose, and we've lost some more over the course of the last year. So we want to refill those ranks, and the Craig Woolery Scholarship is a really great way to help those people pay for school. If you're interested in learning more, reach out to us. February 21st, there will be a check presentation here at the City Council towards that Craig Woolery Scholarship, and anybody who wants to donate, the Public Safety Board would be happy to take whatever funds you felt were appropriate towards that goal. And with that, Mayor, I'll turn it back to you.
Awesome. Thank you, Councilmember Olson. Councilmember Thiede?
I'm good.
You're good. All right. A couple things. One's kind of a piggyback a little bit on something that Councilmember Olson had mentioned about a week and a half ago, a week ago, losing track of days. The council had a strategic planning workshop just to share with the public at our new Glacial Valley Park building, which is absolutely gorgeous. And we'll be eventually having a ribbon cutting and a grand opening for the public. There is a specific wall in there that was painted by an artist to share kind of the thoughts and such behind the purpose of Glacial Valley Park and the theme and such that both past and current. And one of the things, though, I kind of segued there, but one of the things that we discussed and staff is going to be working on is a housing study. And one of the, and it kind of alludes to, the fact that we've been working with a lot of different developers on the different types of housing that we need to look for going forward as the population is changing. People are getting older, obviously, and there's different types of housing that people want nowadays, maybe that are different than maybe what I wanted or my parents wanted growing up. And so we need to understand what that means within our community. And so I'm very excited to see what that housing study that we do comes back to tell us about the community with the great developments and things happening. Also wanted to mention earlier this evening, we had the opportunity to sit down with our legislative contingent, along with our county commissioner, to go over what I'll say is our goals and objectives for the upcoming legislative session, specifically for the state. We went over quite a few different things that are very important to the city of Cottage Grove. One that we also had a bonding tour here yesterday with the Senate for the state, and about a month and a half ago, we had the House in a different part of the county where we went and I presented to try to ascertain some funds for the 100th Street road project. We do have some funds that we've already received for this road project. It's an over $40 million project. So we're working all the different angles to help get that road project, trail project completed or at least paid for. And our ask, I believe, was $12.5 million. Am I correct? 12.5? Yeah. $12.5 million from the state to see if they can help us bridge the gap to finish hopefully getting all the funding for that. But I wanted to thank our legislative team. They did a great job with us today in commenting and listening to what our goals and objectives are, including, as we all know, talking to or providing a letter to the DNR to help us get that money that's supposed to be going to purchase parkland in the next to the Dune Scientific area, so that we can hopefully get them to get that done, because we do want to see that part of the Dunes Scientific area. And then the last thing I'll just mention is earlier today, I had I'm on the Transportation Advisory Board. I mentioned this a little bit earlier today. And the Transportation Advisory Board basically works with the Met Council and the governor and such to provide funding sources or money that flows in from the federal government and different sources into the state of Minnesota to try to, I guess, divvy that money out in a fair and equitable manner. And I will just share with you that the next grouping of projects, I was mentioning it to our staff and to our legislative team, is there's over 150 projects that have submitted for financing of a bucket of money that's about $250 million. And if you were to add up all the projects that were submitted, it's over $850 million. And so once again, we came off of a pretty big legislative year where a lot of money was provided to cities, and that it still is through different means for transportation projects, parks and such. But there's still a great need out there. And so when we talk about maybe in this case going after some additional funding for 100th Street or other projects within the city, we'll continue to do that. We'll continue to fight for the citizens of Cottage Grove to hopefully get our share, if you will, of that funding. And then lastly, and I know I appreciate our Ryan Burfine, our Public Works Director, our staff. I just wanted to be very clear. I know Ryan did a great job putting a video out, I believe it was earlier today. Yesterday, the PCA did put out new health-based limits, if you want to call it that, for PFCs, which of course the citizens of Cottage Grove have dealt with for many, many, many years. The one thing I do want to say is due to the great work of our team here at the city's staff level, some of the government agencies that we deal with, the city of Cottage Grove, if people are worried about their water, they should not be. Our water is clean. We treat all of our water here in Cottage Grove down to, as Ryan calls it, a non-detect level. And I guess the great news for us, I know a lot of communities out there are going to be grappling with how to pay for this stuff, whereas the city of Cottage Grove is, I'll say, lucky enough now, lucky enough that we did qualify for the original consent decree by 3M, but also the settlement agreement. And our first permanent water treatment facility is under construction as we speak, with a second one that will be coming in the next couple of years. But in no case will any of our residents have to worry about their drinking water. So if you do hear that out in the public as this information kind of cycles through, you can be rest assured, at least in our case in Cottage Grove, I'll say our staff has our back and our water is clean. And I'm 100% confident in the abilities of drinking safe water here in Cottage Grove. So I just wanted to throw those little bits of information out there. Okay? With that, that was it for my comments. This evening, there are no workshops open to the public or closed to the public, which is 14. So I'm going to move right now. We got a motion to adjourn by Councilmember Thiede.
Second?
Second by Councilmember Kambata. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? We're adjourned. Thanks, everyone.